Right now, save 50 to 70% off at Banana Republic factory stores and online. And 60% off absolutely everything at Gap factory stores. Save even more with 40% off clearance at Gap factory stores. And at Banana Republic factory, all flannel shirts $19.99 and doorbuster scarves $9.99. This weekend only. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap factory and Banana Republic factory store, or shop us online.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Nonprofit U, a forum where nonprofit stakeholders can share lessons learned and discuss the latest developments in the industry. My name is Valerie, Leonard, your host. I'm a consultant to nonprofits, and I specialize in community and organizational development. I work with nonprofit organizations to help them make a stronger impact to their clients and communities. You can find Nonprofit U on Facebook and Twitter, and I encourage you to comment early and often using the hashtags NonprofitU, College Readiness, or Chicago Youth Centers. You can also leave comments on blogtalkradio.com/nonprofit_U. The chat room is open, and you can post comments and questions. In order to use the chat room, you must open a listener-only account. You'll find a link to open the account on the episode page, and you can also email me questions at consulting@valeriefleonard.com or send messages through Facebook and Twitter. You'll find a Nonprofit U fan page on Facebook, and the Twitter account is @NonprofitU. We'll be taking questions by phone and from our chat room at about the 20-minute mark, and the call-in number is 347-884-8121. Today's episode is Sowing Seeds of Greatness, helping our youth succeed in college. We'll talk about strategies for youth-serving organizations and ways that they can improve high school graduation rates among urban youth, as well as college acceptance and retention rates. Again, we encourage you to call in with questions and to participate in live chats at about the 20-minute mark. The call-in number is 347-884-8121. Nonprofit professionals, educators, and community stakeholders are especially encouraged to call in and share your stories. Our guest for today is Kimberly George. She's a teen worker and college readiness specialist with CYC ABC Polk Brothers Youth Center in Chicago's North Lawndale community. If you could describe Kimberly George in 4 words, they would be compassionate, committed, creative, and connector. This is her approach to her work as a teen worker and college readiness specialist. With over 25 years of experience, ranging from program development and implementation to administrative management and financial development, Kimberly's approach is mission-driven and based on the needs of communities that she served. She's most recently in the North Lawndale community. During Kimberly's tenure at Chicago Youth Centers, the College Readiness Program has assisted 80 Westside Chicago students to attend and succeed in college. The high school graduation rate of the students in the program is 100%. College attendance is 90%, and the college retention rate is 80%, and this exceeds what we see in the city of Chicago citywide. Under Kim's leadership, the Service Learning and Community Gardening programs have been recognized by the National Youth Gardening Association, the Muhammad Ali Peace Center, the Richard Martin Bridge Builder Foundation, and GenerationOn, a Points of Light Foundation. You can find Kim's bio on my blog, Nonprofit U, under Episode 11, Sowing Seeds of Greatness. Go to ValerieFleonard.com/NonprofitU and click onto the episodes page. So, Kim, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to work with the Chicago Youth Centers?
Well, Valerie, thank you for inviting me to be your guest today and for this platform to share my experiences as a college readiness specialist in North Lawndale. I moved to the Chicago area in 1988 to begin a career with the YMCA. My main goal was to work with urban youth. I remember arriving at the old Sears YMCA building at 3210 West Arlington Street, which is now the Safer Foundation, and for my first job interview. As soon as I pulled up, I knew I had found a place where I could make a difference. I've spent almost 20 years with the YMCA in various roles, but my focus has always been working with the kids in North Lawndale. When the Y reconfigured programs in 2008, I decided to they relocated the teen programs north to the Kelly Hall Y in Humboldt Park. Rather than relocate with those programs, I made up my mind to stay committed to the youth in North Lawndale. I found myself laid off for a year before accepting my current position at Chicago Youth Center's ABC Polk Brothers in 2009. It's very interesting to me that so many things always seem to change: political leadership, organizations, programs, schools. But the one thing that always remains constant are the kids in the community and their potential. For the past 5 years, Chicago Youth Centers has been an incredible vehicle for me to work with young people. My current focus, College Readiness, has evolved into supporting urban youth transition into strong adults.
Okay, that is awesome. So can you give us an overview of the Chicago Youth Centers, what they do, and some of the latest developments of which we should be aware?
Sure, Valerie. The mission of Chicago Youth Centers is to empower children to recognize and experience their possibility and promise. CYC is Chicago's largest private urban youth organization. Since 1956, we have prepared children aged 3 to 18 for lifelong success by surrounding them with transformative social capital. This includes deliberate and intentional programs, academic, social, and emotional support, family engagement, community resources, safe and innovative spaces. Through our 8 centers on the south and west sides of Chicago and a residential camp in Michigan and numerous partner sites throughout the city, we help bridge the employability gaps and empower families to break the persistent cycle of poverty and violence.
Yeah, that's really, really important stuff. So drilling down to you and your program, can you give us a brief overview of your College Readiness Program, how it works, how students are recruited, where they come from, and what some of the activities they can expect to engage in?
Sure. Our Teen Leadership Program prepares teens to become leaders and achieve success in school as well as prepare for college and careers. We do this by providing youth with opportunities for learning and personal development through clubs that meet their interests. Each club includes the following components: leadership development, skill development, service learning, extended learning, mentoring, and college and career readiness. Although we work with high school juniors and seniors on activities that help them transition from high school to college, we actually begin introducing our participants to the college-going experience around 4th grade.
Oh, awesome.
I would describe our College Readiness Program on a day-to-day basis as organized chaos. However, our success can be attributed to the coming together of specific factors that include an association-wide focus on college and career readiness that included identifying staff at each of our sites dedicated to preparing students for college and careers, as well as a passionate first leader in Renee Day Cross. Other factors include internal and external scholarship dollars that help finance some of the college costs for students, extended support network for our students as well as programs, and finally, a group of students who are determined to attend college. You might be wondering go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's great. That's great. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, you were asking where our students come from, and we're located on the west side of Chicago in North Lawndale. So the majority of our participants are west side students, and I like to describe the west side kind of as an education desert. There's plenty of opportunities for unhealthy activities and very few options for educational and supportive activities. So it's pretty easy to find trouble. It's a lot harder to find a library, classrooms, and other programs. For example, our library closes at 5 o'clock on some days, which isn't conducive to after-school activities. A lot of times schools close by 5. There's really no coffee shops or bookstores, so to speak. So it's a challenge for students to even find educational outlets, which brings us to our most effective source of recruitment, which is word of mouth. So, for example, what happens is one student will talk to another student about getting homework help or going on a college visit, and then their friends ask if they can tag along. Next thing we know, we don't have to recruit students. They are actually recruiting us to help them. And then when students start bringing in National Honor Society certificates and college acceptance letters, that motivates even more students. So it's kind of a snowball effect. But there's always a group of kids ready and motivated to learn.
That is some really, really good stuff. You remind me of the Pied Piper. First you get one or two kids, and then they bring more kids, and then, next thing you know, you have a full house, and that's really great. And I thank you so much for your service. When I look at the graduation rates for Chicago Public Schools, I find that within the past year, about 69% of them graduated after 5 years. And then when we look at the North Lawndale area, we see that we have an average graduation rate of 63%. And, clearly that gap is closing. I'm pretty proud to say that, because a few years ago we were down to 39%. But under your leadership, the students participating in the College Readiness Program had 100% of students graduating, with 90% going to college and 80% staying in college. So in an area that is lagging Chicago Public Schools, you're actually outperforming Chicago Public Schools in terms of graduation rates, students attending college, and the retention rate. So I guess, in this era where young people are struggling to stay in school, I'm just curious, what interventions and supports have you put in place to keep students motivated? You're working with the same type of students that CPS is.
Okay, well, no question, our results have been astounding, and that is to the testament to the factors I had stated earlier. After my first year at CYC, I knew the bar was way too low for us. In order for us to do better than the statistics you just mentioned, only 4 out of our 7 seniors would have had to graduate, and only 1 student would have had to go to college. Wow. So the reality was we had all 7 graduate high school, and 4 of the students went on to college after the first year. The second year, we had 14 go to college, then 17, and in 2014, one of our biggest classes, we had 20 high school seniors heading off to college. Like I said, our bar was quite low, so if we wanted to do better than city and state rates and graduation rates, instead of comparing ourselves with those kind of statistics, we just started focusing on preparing for college. And on the way to preparing for college, of course, to get to college, you have to graduate from high school. We always take time out to celebrate high school graduations, but with us, that is just one goal to accomplish in order to get accepted, go to, and graduate from college. The end goal is always becoming a productive adult. Again, now our college kids, what we're finding not surprising but exciting, is that our kids who are going on to college are not just surviving college. They're making their presence known as leaders on their campuses. We have student government leaders, social academic organization members. We have resident assistants, campus ambassadors. They are also making their presence known as global travelers. Last year we had 1 student in Australia studying the public health system, compare it to the United States. 1 was in China finishing up her senior year in high school, and 1 young man got to retrace steps of the historic march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama. So our students are doing some, not just surviving there, they are excelling and making a big impact.
Okay, that is great. So you touched a little bit, in I guess earlier parts of our conversation, but could you elaborate on some of the strategies that you use to engage parents in your children's education?
Yeah, engaging parents. When I first started working with College Readiness Program, my son had just started college, so I could easily identify with being a parent of a new college student. This is not a difficult process, but it's a complicated process. There's so many different steps. Each step is not hard, but just the combination of all this is what makes it difficult. Because, for instance, you've got placement tests, you got FAFSA, you got college applications, college visits, college fairs, award packages to decipher, scholarships to apply for. And then for parents, also you have high school requirements to finish with your student, prom stuff to do, graduation to deal with. And that's not even mentioning the parent and the child, getting ready for the student to transition from home to campus. Each student's journey is different, and each parent or guardian's approach and level of support is different. However, I have never met a parent who didn't want their child to achieve more education and success than they were able to. My advice for organizations and college readiness specialists is to include the parent in every single step. This means at least one individual face-to-face student-parent advisory session. This is to make sure everybody is on the same page. Oftentimes the student has a plan and the parent has a totally different plan. So it's good to make sure everybody's communicating on the same page. Other things that are definitely helpful are workshops for parents and students, separate and together. At ABC, we start introducing college at about the fourth grade level, which would be our current class of 2024. By the time the student is in high school, the parents have already participated in a number of college fairs, trunk parties, or workshops. Parents are definitely assets, and if a student has a team, the parent is the coach of the team.
That's great. So you seem to have very individualized strategies. That's what it sounds to me. It sounds like everybody is kind of coming together, working with the student to come up with a plan for each of the students. That's what it sounds like, reading between the lines. So that's great. So how do you maintain relationships with schools and other community organizations in order to get their cooperation and also to provide additional support to the youth? I know that can be really, really challenging in this environment.
Yeah, well, just like the parents are an asset, schools and other organizations are our assets as well. We all have to work together to provide the best support network for all students to succeed. So not just ABC students, but all community students. So by the whole community working together, it makes us a little bit more productive in doing that. At CYC, our staff is encouraged to participate in community advisory boards. We're encouraged to get to know local leaders, private business owners, and we're encouraged to attend school open houses and those kind of things. We also try to do our part in contributing to the community. And one of our favorite collaborative efforts in the past has been bringing the first open to the public college fair to North Lawndale.
That's great. It sounds, too, like, again, reading between the lines, you have definitely shown people that you care. You have to show people that you care before they care to know. And it's building those relationships that I think has helped you to work very closely with schools. All too often, we hear of different community groups or community activists who describe challenges, working with the schools, and a lot of it might have to do with the fact that they don't have pre-existing relationships. So it sounds like something you've been working at for a long time, and we definitely appreciate that. So given those relationships, what have you observed have been some of the greatest challenges in helping low-income youth stay involved and motivated to graduate from high school, and then for their families to make sure that they can actually see their students' potential, to go to college, stay in college, and beyond?
Okay, well, Valerie, just one more note too on as far as working with the schools and everything, because schools are it's a little difficult to sometimes get into the schools because they're approached all the time by all kinds of programs and people who want to do activities with the schools. So a lot of times it's not easy to do that. One of our biggest assets is our students. So we're doing these programs to help our students, but vice versa, the students actually are a big asset for us. A lot of times, maybe if I approach the school or something, and I'm not able to get in, if enough of the students say, "Oh, we want Miss Kim to come and do a presentation," or we want the school to work with ABC, the student's voice really is probably like the loudest voice. So we really use our assets and use our students and the value that they have. A lot of times people don't realize the students have as much value or as power as they realize Now, as far as some of the challenges of helping low-income students stay motivated to graduate and prepare for college, the one thing I would say is there's different factors to look at when you're working with college, students preparing for college, and there's certain factors to show whether they're ready or not. And a couple of those bigger categories are, are they academically ready? So do they have the right courses? Have they taken ACT preparation and ACT placement tests? Are they able to, keep up with the rigors of college? So that's one of the readiness factors that we address. Another one is admission ready. Are they even ready to attend college? Have they applied to colleges? Have they applied for dorm rooms? Have they gone through the various processes to actually be admitted to the school? The third one is financially ready. Are they financially ready? Do they have enough money to pay for school? Do they understand the loans that they're taking out? Do they know how to manage the money that they do have? So those are three major ones. Another one is personal and social readiness. And that one is, do they have the maturity to, survive on a college campus? Do they have the discipline to maybe skip a couple parties and, study and hit the books? How used to diverse populations, are they? Are they used to, being with diverse groups of people? Are they? How do they react when there are differing opinions? And then I think one of the major ones is, are they able to seek support? So a lot of times, people have a lot of pride, or they don't want to admit that they're getting behind, and they don't want to ask for help. And I think one of the big things with our program is, and we found with our most successful students, is that, when they need help, when they need support, then, they're able to ask for that and not feel bad about it. And then another one, the final one, the readiness. So there's 5 readinesses. Are they academically ready? Are they admission ready? Are they financially ready? Are they personally ready? And finally, are they career ready? Are they looking at classes that are going to connect them to their careers? So they have to make that connection to make their education really worthwhile. And of course, no students are going to be 100% ready in all areas. And a lot of times, what really helps us is if we know where some of the deficiencies are, so we can identify additional supports and put those into place. So, like I said, they won't be 100% ready, but we want to anticipate, where they might not be. Perhaps they don't have enough funding yet, so we go identify more scholarships. Sometimes maybe if we find that they're academically not quite ready, then we look for academic support programs that are on campus. One of our big allies is the UIC Chance program, and they've been a great ally with us, with our high school students as well as our college students when they go there. They really make an effort to make sure the kids have the support that they need and are able to get the tutoring and those kind of things. And there's a lot of programs like that. There's also not just on-campus programs to identify, but then there's also, off-campus programs. One of the things that I do working with my high school kids is I try to identify other programs that offer them more support and more education and more preparation, because I know we can't just do it all at ABC. So we're always looking for students to apply for the Posse Foundation or the Chicago Scholars Programs, those kind of programs. And as I'm speaking about programs, one other program that I really wanted to touch on that's a support for city college students is the 1 Million Degrees program, and that's an in-school program. It does offer some small scholarship money, but what it really offers is mentoring and support. And what they do is they link the student up with a professional in the career of their choice. So when the student's selecting classes or has advice on things, they can actually talk to somebody in the profession that they want to be and make sure that their classes are lining up with what they need to take or those kind of things. So that's a real exciting program that's been in existence now for a few years, and I always try to get my City College students to apply for that program.
Oh, this is great stuff. For our listening audience, if you want to call in with questions or if you want to add questions to our chat room, the chat room is open. And our call-in number is 347-884-8121. Again, the call-in number is area code 347-884-8121. So we'll wait and see if we get any calls. But in the meantime, what are some of the strategies would you recommend to help youth and their families overcome these barriers? And I know you touched on some, but are there other strategies that you might recommend?
Sure. Those are the big. Those are the big ones. We really want to be honest and do a straightforward evaluation with those criteria, those readiness criteria. And we want to, like I said, be proactive and identify ways to maybe meet some of those deficits and also build on the strength. Another big strategy is starting early with the students, and we talked about that a little bit, but 7th and 8th grade are really key years. Those are the years, and we start working with our teens about that age. A lot of times they'll be like 13-year-olds. But 7th and 8th grade, we really start looking at what are the best high schools to really prepare them for college. Now, they might not always be preparatory high schools, and like I said earlier, each student is an individual, and each one has like an individual fit for high schools and college. But like I said, the one thing we really do is look, what high schools are going to help the students the best so that they're preparing for college. Doing that also makes my job much easier if the school is already doing that and introducing all of those things. It's much easier for us because then we can just kind of reiterate and be an additional support to the students.
Oh, okay, great. So can you share some of your North Lawndale success stories?
Sure. I have, like I said, like you said, we have almost 80 students, so we really basically almost have 80 stories that I could get into, but I will cut it down to just a couple.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Well, and each student has their own story and their own obstacles and their own successes. So it's really, my honor to be able to work with the kids and, share part of those stories with them. And I'm going to try to do these stories without identifying any students in particular because I don't want to embarrass anybody with how special I think they are. But one of my favorite success stories is how one young lady I worked with, we were able to, when we were working, we were looking at her award letter, and she was about $5,000 short. And, realistically we're looking and we're like, unless you have this $5,000 extra dollars, you're really going to be struggling every year. And you might, come up short with being able to pay for your tuition, and then, it might take longer. So it was about a $5,000 deficit. This was a Monday afternoon, and as we were speaking about this, another student came in, and she just kind of casually said, "Oh, I heard about this other scholarship at school. It's called the Magnus Scholarship." And so, of course, we wrote it down. We were like, "Oh, okay, Magnus Scholarship. Let's look that up." So we were able to look it up, check to make sure that the deadline hadn't passed, which it was like maybe 5 days later. And the student started working on the application that day, on that Monday. By Thursday, she had the application finished. She had her essays written. And by Friday of that same week, we were able to send off her recommendation letters and her transcripts and all of that. So Monday we heard about it. Monday we had the problem. Monday we heard about this great opportunity. By Friday, this student just was on the ball, and she had everything submitted. And what's really cool is that Sunday evening, she got a call from the president of the Magnus Family Foundation, and they had selected her as one of the scholarship recipients. So normally things don't work like that, but when it does, it's really something. So she was able to get the exact amount that she needed within 6 days. So that's an exciting thing. And those things kind of tend to happen a lot working with kids, especially when the kids are really working to improve and better themselves, and the staff is really trying to do what we need to do. Sometimes, things really fall into place, and we know that, that's kind of something that's meant to be. So that's one example. That young lady, she's at her school of choice right now. She's a sophomore, and again, to help defray the costs and being a leader, she's an resident assistant this year. So she's able to keep her some of her housing costs down, and at the same time, support other students. So we see that quite often too. So we're real proud of this young lady, and we can't wait to see what she's going to do next.
That's awesome. We have time for one more success story, and the one I really like, when you and I talk, from time to time, you always talk about this one lady who has gone through challenges. I really like the story because it's a story of resilience amongst our young people. Would you care to share that story?
Sure. This student, she has every excuse to give up her dream of graduating from her school of choice. She had every single excuse, or she would have every excuse for not doing it, but she didn't take any of those excuses. She had a school of choice in her mind, and she decided, she applied, and she was rejected by that school, which happens. You got to get used to the rejection letters too. And matter of fact, she was rejected by a number of schools, but that didn't slow her down at all. She decided to go a different route. So she decided to go to a junior college. And the first year she was in the junior college, her mother, who was her biggest inspiration and her biggest cheerleader, her mother passed away. And so this young lady was dealing with that her freshman year. It was quite something for me. It was really special for me unfortunately, when we were at the funeral, the big thing that they said was, this woman who passed away, her daughter was a college student, and that really gave everybody a real sense of pride to be able to say that her daughter, was attending college. So, regarding these kind of obstacles, this young lady then ended up spending the next 4 years using her campus housing as her permanent housing. After her mother passed away, she didn't have a permanent house other than her dorm room. But she was resilient. She kept going. She worked really hard, and she ended up receiving her AA degree from Joliet Junior College. And what was really cool was after she finished at Joliet Junior College, she was able to transfer all of her credits. She had worked real closely with the campus. She was able to transfer all of her credits to the school that she originally wanted to go to, which was Western Illinois University. So here's this young lady who's been through all of this. Yes, it's quite motivating for me. But she's been through all of that and able to transfer all of her credits, able to start at the school that she originally wanted to attend and hoped to attend, and actually went there for her junior year, and she went there with no student loans whatsoever. So we're so proud of her, and I'm proud to say that she'll be finishing up this year in December, and she'll be graduating next spring, and she'll get her BA bachelor's degree in criminal justice. So she's, that's just one who refused to give up. So if there's students out there, and if there's students out there, I don't know, I can't think of more excuses. There's a lot of excuses, but this young lady had more than her share of excuses. possible excuses, and she didn't use one of them, and she was able to, meet her biggest goals.
Oh, that is so great. I was just listening to that story, and any one of them probably would have caused me to pause. So hats off to that young lady.
Yes, exactly.
Can you share 3 lessons learned, over the course of your years doing this youth development work?
Sure. I'm going to give you 2 for myself, and I was able to poll a lot of my college students because I text them and I email them quite often. They'll tell you. But I was able to poll some of them, and they gave me some really good also words of advice that I wanted to share. But my main ones are regarding college readiness. If you're a college readiness professional or somebody who works with youth development in any area, when I started, I thought, okay, the goal is to get these guys in college, and that'll be it. Well, once they step on campus, our jobs are still not done. The students need, support and a cheerleader throughout their whole college experience. So if you go into it thinking, okay, I'm going to have 100% of the kids go to college, that's not the total story. The total story is for them to actually, graduate from college, and for them to do that, we have to really, be a support system throughout high school and also throughout college. So that's one goal. One piece of advice. Another piece of advice would be, in the last example I gave, always have more than one plan. And this is for students and for the professionals who work there. Don't just have one plan, one goal. Have a plan A, plan B, plan C, all the way up. That's why there's 26 letters in the alphabet. Sometimes with the number of students, one doesn't work, one plan doesn't work. Okay, let's go back to the drawing board. How can we, get to this ultimate goal? So, and that's all along the way from high school and then all the way until your last day of college almost. So you always want to have the end result in mind, but basically be prepared to change your plans and to work around things. Now, some words of advice from my college students. One young lady gave me some really good advice. She had advice for students, so if there's any students out there who are listening or staff or professionals who want to share this with students, she said one of her main pieces of advice to the student is get help from your peers and your professors. First of all, it gives you the support, but also it was her way of connecting with the campus. So that's number 1. Number 2, always remember that you did enough right things to get there. So you deserve to be at that campus. If you've done all those things, you're there. You're rightfully there. So don't ever forget that. If you think maybe you don't belong or something, you got accepted there, and you're there. And also make sure you get the best money out of the best for your tuition. I have a couple other students who said the same thing. They're like, well, I'm getting my money's worth at this school, or I'm going to use this school for every resource that they have. So everything that's provided, you really have to seize those opportunities and those supports and those opportunities to, for your education. Let's see. One other piece of advice is, always ask for help again. Also, get involved on campus. Find out things that you're interested in, things that you're passionate about, and get involved. There's many different organizations, and each of those organizations connects you with a lot of different people. And this young lady had one piece of advice for professionals who work with students, and that piece of advice was, for professionals working on this should know that support and encouragement are the biggest things for help. Sometimes things that students appreciate the most are just the texts or the emails or the phone calls. that little tiny bit of extra support outside of campus, it goes a long way. So those are some really meaningful pieces of advice. One piece of advice from the last case, or the success story that I did, was, what did I do with it? Let me see. I'm sorry. This advice was never let your current situation determine your future. So don't ever let, where you're at right now determine what you're going to be doing in your future. And I think that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you. Yeah, and these are, like I said, these were students I had polled who are in classes right now, and this is their advice. And, they're special kids. They took the time out to support me doing this show today, and also to make sure that other students and people, had the information that they needed.
Oh, that is awesome. And I thank them from the bottom of my heart, and I am so looking forward to the contributions that they're going to make.
Yes.
We've come to the end. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, we've come to the end of our show, and I'd like to thank you so much, Kim, for all of your nuggets of wisdom. So do you have any parting thoughts that you'd like to share? I know you've given us so much information, but any parting thoughts that you'd like to share? And most importantly, how can we reach you, and how can our students get involved?
Okay, well, yeah, my parting thoughts, and I guess my closing remarks are, there have been so many factors that we talked about today that had to come into play for our program to have the success it has. And unfortunately, we've had funding cuts, we've had staff layoffs, students are facing rising tuition costs and less scholarship opportunities. So unfortunately, we're not always able to maintain the level of support that we have in the past to our students. However, any decline in our success of our program, I want to make sure it's clear that it has nothing, is not due in any way, shape, or form on the motivation, drive, or the determination the students have. We have proven, our program has proven, and our students have proven that the right support in place, there's no limit to the impact that the next generation will have. And as far as how to reach me, Chicago Youth Centers, ABC Polk Brothers, our telephone number is 773-762-5655. And you can also learn a lot more about Chicago Youth Centers at www.chicagouthcenters.org.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
So, thanks for that opportunity for allowing me to get that information out.
No problem. You guys are doing wonderful work. So we've got a few seconds left. So I'd like to thank you for listening to Nonprofit U Blog Radio Talk Show. The show will be available for download within about an hour. And be sure to tune in next week when we'll talk about the elements that make programs powerful, productive, and profitable. And I can tell you what, after listening to Kim, you'll have plenty to contribute to this conversation on next week. So I am so looking forward to speaking with you next week. Take care.
Right now, save 50 to 70% off at Banana Republic factory stores and online. And 60% off absolutely everything at Gap factory stores. Save even more with 40% off clearance at Gap factory stores. And at Banana Republic factory, all flannel shirts $19.99 and doorbuster scarves $9.99. This weekend only. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap factory and Banana Republic factory store, or shop us online. Right now, save 50 to 70% off at Banana Republic factory stores and online. And 60% off absolutely everything at Gap factory stores. Save even more with 40% off clearance at Gap Factory stores. And at Banana Republic Factory, all flannel shirts $19.99 and doorbuster scarves $9.99. This weekend only. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory store or shop us online.